Hello everyone, welcome to Canteen Cup. My name is Scott. How's everybody doing today? Me and Obi, we're out on a little bit of a scout today. We're checking out a location for a Viking meetup that I'm hosting in January, and I'll post that on the Viking Preparedness Patreon site when I get a good location. But we've got to go scope it out, and we've got to make sure we can have a place to meet, so I have to probably make a reservation for a meeting room or something once I get there. But that's part of the planning. You have to go and do things, and so we're going and doing things, and hopefully it'll meet our requirements. One of the things I wanted to talk about today, and it's been mentioned on Viking Preparedness about operational security, and I think Pastor Joe calls it, is it OpSec or paranoia, or OpSec or fear? And I thought it was a good video, and I thought it was thought-provoking. It really got me thinking that I think sometimes we get ourselves a little too wrapped up in paranoia, where we're not living life, not doing things, because of operational security, or I hear people saying to me that, oh, I've got this idea, but I want to talk about it offline, or we'll talk about this in person because of OpSec, and I really have a lot of mixed thoughts about that. And part of where I'm coming from is I've been involved in we'll just call it the emergency communities for about 25 years. I have worked for the federal government, including a position up in Washington, D.C. And so I kind of have a pretty good understanding of operational security and how things apply to us mere mortals. And I just want to put a couple things out there when we talk about operational security. If you've got an email, if you've got a credit card or a debit card, if you've got a banking account, if you have a mortgage or a car loan, if you have a driver's license, I think I said mortgage, if you have a computer connected to the internet, if you have a cell phone, if you've had a job where you've had to have been fingerprinted, because of the unit I was in the Army, they have my footprints. I've been actually footprinted. If you've ever been fingerprinted for anything, they've got so, especially if you have a hot computer. And what I mean by that is a computer is either hot or cold. If it's a cold computer, it means it is not connected to the internet or any outside source, and never will be or never has. A hot computer, which if you're watching this video, you have one, means that you connect to the internet at least once in a while. And you have no reason to expect privacy when you have all this stuff, your driver's license, your social security number, all of that stuff. I mean, people have been collecting some serious information on you for probably the last 20 or 30 years. At least the last 20 years for sure. And so, you have to think that, with all this information being collected, what are people doing with it? Well, more than likely nothing, to be honest with you. We're a country of about 325 million people. That's a lot of people, and we have limited resources, even limited computing power when it comes to who's keeping track of what. Everybody is not keeping track of everybody. And I've said this before, and I'll say it again, and I believe it's true, and that is, unless you're doing something that is really stupid or really illegal, nobody cares what you're doing. It's that simple. Because they don't have the time or the resources to devote to people with their, I'll just say, silly stuff, whatever you want to call it. What they are concerned about are plausible threats. And if you are on the Viking Preparedness channel, you are not a plausible threat. Even Pastor Joe says, we do nothing illegal. If you do nothing illegal, then they don't have any reason to look for you. Look, when I work for the federal government, what we would notice are things that would stand out, things that were radically different. Something that said, why are you doing that? An example might be, and this is not a real case, but just an example, that if you are sending encrypted emails when everybody else is not, then the question becomes, why are you sending encrypted emails? If in your emails you constantly say, we have to talk about this offline, then the question becomes, why is something so important that it cannot be spoken over an email? That attracts attention. It probably attracts more attention than if you just said whatever it is you're going to say. Because like I said, if you're not doing anything illegal or seriously stupid, nobody cares. I do a lot of work in communications. I've been involved in emergency communications for close to 25 years. I am currently involved in several groups doing emergency communications. So is my name out there? Oh yeah, my call sign's out there. What I do is out there. But you know what? No one's knocking on my door. Unless they want help. Nobody's checking up on me. I don't have black sedans with blacked out windows at the end of my driveway. I guess what I'm saying is, when you hide yourself behind operational security, that you are so afraid to talk to anybody about anything, then how can you network and form groups? How can you, bind together when every other sentence is, well, I have to talk about this offline at another time, is everything OpSec? Yes and no. But, if you don't put yourself out there, if you don't make contacts with other people, then you're going to be alone. And that's the thing that Pastor Joe says, that you don't want to be alone, you need to be in the groups. And so you have to take a little risk. You have to get out there. You have to release, some of your details. Not all of them, and definitely not all at once. But you have to be able to do a little bit of talking to establish some familiarity of who you are. know, if you go to a meeting and you refuse to talk even a little bit about yourself and what you're doing, then in my eyes you're just as bad as the guy who sits in the back with the ball cap pulled low, sunglasses collared up with a big frown on his face. Okay, you don't know who he is, you don't know what he's about. You know, why? You know, the question becomes, why would I want to associate, number one, associate with this person, and number two, why would I want this person in the group when he's playing the lone wolf thing? So you got to give a little. I'm not saying sell the store, but most of the stuff that we talk about is not real OpSec. I mean, you know, most of us do not talk about exactly where we live. You know, most of us do not talk about exactly how much food we have, or how many guns, if any, we have, or how much ammunition, if any, we have. But we talk in general terms. You know, if we're all meeting together in a group, you know, it's pretty much given that either we have or we want to have food storage and these things, and sometimes we need help with one another. You know, some folks are just getting into this and they need a little help. But if you're you know, stovepiped in the back, you can't help them, and then they don't know enough about you to make you want them in their group. So, you know, you kind of have to, you know, give a little. You know, I'm working with some groups all over the country. You know, up to a 3.5 day ride. And I'm not going to drive 3.5 days, you know, for a 30-minute in-face conversation. You know, number one, I'm not doing anything illegal. You know, number two, that's a large expense for me to travel that far to talk with somebody to, you know, help establish something. But it's not necessary. Yeah, I like to get out and meet people, shake their hands or whatever, but sometimes you just can't, and sometimes you just gotta go forward working, like Pastor Joe says, working with what you got. And sometimes you may need to give out a little more information than what you feel comfortable with. Like I said, you are 1 in 325 million people. Nobody really cares what you're doing. So I guess what I'm saying is, you know, when you go to these meetups, you know, don't be that guy. You know, if you want to get in a group, then, you know, you have to establish some commonality. You have to establish a repertoire. You have to talk about something. And if you constantly hide behind, well, that's OpSec, bro, then you will never be a part of a group, because people, you know, it's a two-way street. You know, you've got to trust them and they've got to trust you, but that's got to start somewhere. And some of that is by, you know, releasing a little bit of information. Now, you know, what does that mean? You know, you don't have to give somebody your street address when you tell them where you live, but you can, you know, if you're near a big city, you can say, you know, near Columbia, South Carolina. I'm just putting that out there. You know, or you can sit there and say, I live in Mecklenburg County, North Carolina. You know, that'll give people a frame of reference. You know, and you're not selling the store. You're not saying I live at, you know, 123 Smith Street. You know, but you give them a frame of reference, and then you know, they can take that and say, okay, well, he's in this county, we're one county over, so maybe this might be a doable, you know, a doable group meet, or at least a contact we can use for future. And so really, I'm just saying, you know, ease up a little bit. You know, there are some things you need to keep really close to your vest unless you are, you know, full in with a group. I know, as a group leader, you know, if the group had a requirement for 6 months food supply, then every member of the group, you know, should show they have 6 months food, because that's a requirement, and when you signed on, you agreed to that requirement, and that should be an inspectable item. Now, could you have more food than 6 months? Yes. Do you have to show them all your food storage? No, but if the requirement's 6 months, then you show them 6 months and just leave it at that if you feel that way, you know. But it all has to, I guess really what I'm saying is don't let, you know, don't let the paranoia of operational security inhibit your life. You know, live your life. Don't live it hiding behind a closed door. Put yourself out there. I'm not saying don't be careful. Be careful, but put yourself out there a little bit and get to know people. And then, as you learn more about people, then you can turn around and you can release a little more information at a time. So exercise a little bit of prudence, but get out there, get in groups, meet people, you know, establish those networks. Even if somebody doesn't live near enough for a group, they could be a valuable resource later on. So that's all I got for now, and maybe I'll report back a little bit later. So everybody stay safe and stay secure. We'll see you.